Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started with Glenn Cantrell doing the invocation. Glenn?
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for many blessings. We thank you for this touchdown club. We thank you for our coaches and our players. Father, we just ask that you be with them this evening as they play their games. Keep them safe. Father, we thank you for this food that's been prepared. Bless it, nourishing our bodies, those to your service. These things we ask in your name.
Amen. Stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're supposed to have Kevin Selman do our pick'em contest, but he got somebody to substitute for him for some reason today. So Kevin Black, come on up.
I'm right here. I'm right behind
You right there.
He's Kevin A and I'm Kevin B. So there you go. You got the B team today. JV, like a JV joke. So anyway, so you got the JV squad up. One good thing about them asking you to do this is you know that you don't have to worry about whether you won the contest or not. So at least I know that. I know I didn't win. All right, week contest for week 2. Our results had 27 pick'em players. Last man standing of the week was Auburn at Georgia, and 21 of 27 got it right. And Dickie Smith did not get that one right. So anyway, just upsets according to the pick'em sheet last week: Ole Miss over Kentucky, Arkansas over the Pirate at Mississippi State, and NC State over Pittsburgh. And there were a few interesting picks this week. We had 15 players pick all high school games correctly. Kelsey C. right? Is Kelsey here? Kelly. Is Kelly here? All right. Doug Shaw. Raise your hand right there. All right, that's Doug Shaw at Palmetto, and they won, and you were the only one that didn't pick them correctly. So anyway, Mustangs defeated Blue Ridge 44-20. I got to see that game. That was a good game. So we'll work on it next time. Keith Bates was the only person that picked Arkansas to beat Mississippi State. So congratulations. Or you picked the wrong, shaded the wrong one and got lucky on that one. However, it worked out. As far as the breakdown, a great week for most pickers. Had 11 players at 16-4. That was the most common record. Had 5 players at 15-5. Also had 5 players at 14-6. And it went south from there. Now for the loser of the week and the winner of the week, Barry Drazen, in a league of his own, not sure what kind of league it was, went 10-10. So come on up for your winner of the loser of the week. Congratulations to you. Well deserved. Well deserved. Also had 4 players at 17-3 this week, battling out for the $50 winner of the week: Josh Abels, Kevin Selman, Keith Bates, and David Drazen. And the total points in the Wake Forest Campbell game was 80. And so by the way of the tiebreaker and by way of me being up here today, our winner for the week is Kevin Selman. So congratulations to him.
Appreciate it. I hope you can do this a lot.
So remember to like the Facebook page, Anderson Area Touchdown Club, and I'd like to wish the best to all our players and coaches tonight.
Do what? The mic's not on? Okay, can you hear now, Coach Smith? Okay, good. All right. It's good that we can hear now because we're ready for that moment that we always look so forward to. The players of the week, the jokes of the week, none other than Coach Jim Fraser.
The hardest part of the day. Happy to see Levon Kirkland here. Being from Florence, Levon, I know more about Lamar than most people. Y'all are the Silver Foxes, right?
Yes, sir.
Not to be mistaken for the Hartsville Red Foxes,
That's
which is a
correct.
pretty good high school football team.
Yeah, we are decent.
Lamar probably has more great players per capita as any other town around. I know of Tommy Suggs, who is dear to most Clemson people heart here. Tommy was a great quarterback at Lamar and in South Carolina. And Lamar, there's one other good player that came out of.
There was John Abraham from the University of South
I
Carolina.
think John was a pretty good player.
Yeah, there was Mike Hammond, who went to the Dallas Cowboys. Currently, B.J. Goodson plays for the Cleveland Browns. He went to Clemson University. And also Marshall McFadden, who went to South Carolina State and played for the Raiders, the Rams. So we had 5 guys on 1A team to go to the
Now, how big is Lamar?
We got 300 students, that should probably tell you. We're pretty small.
That's amazing. You got that many good players.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So this the sheriff's deputy or the sheriff had this lady and said, "Now, lady, you killed your husband, right?" She said, "Yeah, I did. He was sorry, no count." "Would you kill him with?" "I killed him with a golf club." She says, "What was it? An iron?" "No, it was a. I think it was an iron. What was it? 5, 6, 7?" She said, "I don't know. It was one of those irons." She said, "Put me down for a 6." So these 2 guys ran this clothing store, and they were taking lunch off, and the other one would stay open to service clients that came in. And so one day the owner came back, and the co-owner was all beat up. He looked like he'd been attacked by a vicious beast. The other guy said, "Good grief, man, what happened to you?" One of his ears was kind of chewed on. His face was all scratched up. His arm was in a sling. And he said, "Well, let me tell you," he says, "you remember that hideously colored purple suit we had?" "Yeah, I remember the one with that garish chartreuse tie and that awful looking shirt." "Yes," he says, "well, I sold all of those." And he says, "Really?" He says, "You sold those?" "Yeah, and I got a good price too for them. I didn't have to discount it." And he says, "Well, that doesn't account for how badly you've been beaten up." Says, was the customer not happy?" Said, "Yeah, he was very happy, but his C&I dog was not." All right, let's go with our players of the week. We've got from Wren High School, unusual that Wren sends us an offensive player who's not a quarterback. He is Malachi Hill. He's 5'10", 190 pounds. He's a junior. In a 65-26 win over Seneca last week, Malachi rushed 23 times for 171 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's quite an outing for Malachi. He's also a track star. And so we're happy to have with us Malachi Hill as our offensive player of the week. With Malachi, come up here, Malachi. With Malachi, of course, we've got head coach Jeff Tate and his mom and dad. His mom, Courtney, and his dad, Antoine. Stand up, please, Courtney and Antoine. Our defensive player, we have co-defensive player. Let's start out with Brody Madison of Hanna. He's a linebacker. Brody's 5'8". He's 185 pounds and a junior. A narrow 14-13 win over Malden last week. Old Brody had 7 tackles, 1 for loss, and 1 fumble recovery. From T.L. Hanna, Brody Madison. Come up here, Brody. With Brody, we've got his position coach, Coach Miller. We've got his mom and his dad. That would be Amy and Neil Madison. And we've got his grandmom, Carol Madison. I think I got everybody. Would you folks please stand and let's recognize? Thank you. Our other defensive player is going to be from Powdersville. He's Will Goforth. He's a linebacker. He's 6 feet tall, 220 pounds. He's a senior. Powdersville smashed Berea last week, 63-6. And Old Will had 4 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, and 1 PBU. And reviewing us, Bill Britchie, what does PBU stand for? Bill?
He can't hear you.
That would be pass breakup, Bill. All right, we have an offensive lineman. He is Malik Stowers of Westside. He's 5'11", 200.
We didn't call Will up. Will needs to come up. We'll go for it.
Glad to have you, Will. Let me see. With Will, we've got his
Will's parents are here.
I'm sorry, I got this all messed up. Will, who do you have visiting with you?
Kevin Chagnon.
Ask him.
His parents.
Would they stand up? Have I called out Malik yet?
We started on.
All right, Malik, 5'10", 294, a senior. He graded at 90% with 5 knockdown blocks as they won out on Travelers Rest, 13-12. So Malik Stowers, come forward, please. With Malik, we have his position coach, J-Mo Wilson. Our defensive lineman comes from Palmetto. He is Thomas Wilson Vinson. He is a nose guard and a defensive end. He had 4 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. He is a senior. He plays both ways. He's 6 feet, 250 pounds. And over Blue Ridge, he also had a very stellar game on defense. He has started for 4 years. And from Palmetto, let's bring it up here, Thomas Vinson. We have Coach Doug Shaw. We've got his mom and dad, Shannon and Tony, and his position coach, Zach Theus. So would you folks please stand? Our coach of the week comes from Crescent. He is Sheldon Evans. Sheldon was only able to play last week for the first time, and since then he's played again last night, and they play again tonight. So he's played 3 times in about 2 weeks. And Sheldon has been battling the virus and all the other things, so he is our coach of the week for a rousing victory over 96. Sheldon Evans. Sheldon has this great gift from CPI. So tonight we've got some really super games coming up. We probably got one of the few times in the history of football that 2 brothers are heading off as coaches of a 4A, 5A football team. We've got we've got from J.L. Mann, we've got Charlie, and from T.L. Hanna, we've got Walt Mayfield. Very unusual. This should be a rousing game here, probably the big game of the year so far, as Wren entertains Daniel. Palmetto takes on Hapless Berea. Powdersville takes on Carolina. Crescent goes to Christ Church. And Westside goes to Pendleton. So you go out and see the game of your life tonight. Thank you, folks.
Might ought to improve the jokes a little bit. Greg tells me we have what, close to 1,500 people watch on all the different ways he's got set up to watch the first week and 500 and something the last week. So with Levon speaking this week, there'll probably 2,500 or so. So to introduce our speaker today, we've got one of the biggest Clemson fans we know, Mr. Bryson Carter.
Good afternoon. When Kevin asked me if I would be attending this week's Anderson Area Touchdown Club meeting, I said, maybe. Then I asked him who would be today's speaker. When he told me it was going to be Levon Kirkland, I said, I'll be there. Then he asked if I would be interested in introducing Mr. Kirkland. How could I say no to introducing someone who was on one of my posters on my wall in my childhood bedroom? It's not every day that you get to introduce one of your childhood heroes. And like Coach here, I'm also originally from Florence, South Carolina. Kevin may not have known that my grandmother grew up on a tobacco farm in Timminsville, and that if you take a hop, skip, and jump from there, you will land in the metropolis, the big city of Lamar, South Carolina, that has produced today's speaker, Mr. Kirkland. Levon was a standout on the football field at Clemson from 1988 until 1991. While playing for Clemson through those 4 seasons, his teams won a combined 39 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie. He was a member of the 1988 and 1991 ACC champions. His teams, all 4 years that he was a member of the Clemson football team, made a bowl game, and most importantly to me, he never lost to the University of South Carolina. He was MVP of the 1989 Gator Bowl, most memorable for Major Harris's mother, the quarterback of West Virginia, being interviewed on television during the game, saying that he was running for his life and that they were going to kill her baby. Levon has too many accolades to name, but I will try to name a few. First team All-ACC as a junior and senior. All-American as a junior and senior. He helped lead the 1990 Clemson defense that was #1 in the nation in total defense, and was a captain on the 1991 defense that led the nation in rushing defense. After completing his career at Clemson, he was selected in the second round of the 1992 NFL Draft by the Pittsburgh Steelers, where he played 9 seasons. After the Steelers, he would go on to play a season both for the Seattle Seahawks and the Philadelphia Eagles. While a member of the Steelers, he made the NFL All-Pro team twice, and was also a participant in the Pro Bowl in 1996 and 97, and helped lead the Steelers to a Super Bowl. Levon has been inducted into the Clemson Athletic Hall of Fame, the State of South Carolina Athletic Hall of Fame, and received the highest honor anyone at Clemson can receive for their play on the football field when he was inducted into the Ring of Honor. He has a son, Zach, a daughter, Kennedy, and is currently Vice President of Development for the South Carolina Hall of Fame. And it is my great, distinct honor to introduce all-time legendary Clemson linebacker, number 44, Levon Kirkland. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I guess I can take this off. Bryson, thank you so much for that warm introduction, and I have a check in the mail for you. That was good. I need to hire him as my PR guy. I never heard anybody introduce me that well, so thank you so much. Thank you, Anderson Touchdown Club, for having me here today. It's really my honor to be here. But I want to address a problem that we have in South Carolina. South Carolina students are ranked 43rd in the country for being college and career ready, according to the usnews.com. 43rd. Now, I'm not sure about any of you folks, but I never want to be ranked 43rd in anything. I can imagine my teams at Clemson, we were ranked 43rd. Danny Ford and Coach Ken Hatfield probably would have been fired by that time, and I'm sure I wouldn't have made all ACC or all American. So we 43rd. The organization that I work for, the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, has developed a program called the Bridge Builders Excellence Program. That program is designed to educate, empower, and encourage. For us at the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, it's more than football. It's making a difference through football. Now, what if we were all bridge builders? What if we committed ourselves to educating, empowering, and encouraging our students? Instead of being at the bottom 10%, what if we led them to the top 10% in the nation as far as college and career readiness? Now, on my journey as a football player and a student, I was extremely lucky. I had a great family, great coaches, great high school, a great support system that helped me along my journey. In order for me to achieve high, I went to a wonderful university at Clemson University that also nurtured me and helped me grow. But we know the opposite of that journey. We know athletes and we know students that didn't quite make it for whatever reason. Maybe it wasn't really good support at home, or maybe they had issues in their home that it made it difficult. And we feel their pain. We feel their what if I had the right support system? What if I had the right parents there for me, or the right coaches? And we cry out because we look at them and see a future that's doomed. A future that's doomed. And more importantly, the stakes with that, when we don't really help a student out, the stakes with that is not only does that student get left behind, but our community suffer. Our economy suffers. Your business suffers. The state of South Carolina does not fulfill its promise. But the South Carolina Hall of Fame, we feel that we have a plan for all of this. We feel that we have a program called the Bridge Builders Excellence Program that we want to go through all the state of South Carolina and establish. In this way, we can help those students get to the next level. We can help those students achieve more, because we all know that we can't do it by ourselves. As a vice president of the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, I understand that. I understand that we all need help. And like I said, our plan is to be throughout the state. We have talked to, on the Inside Blitz, the podcast that we have, We have talked to some of the greats that have played at South Carolina, some of the great coaches. They're giving us leadership tips. They're talking to our audience, our students, about how to achieve. We're talking to some of the best student athletes that are in high school, and they're giving their knowledge and how they did it, how they achieve. We're building bridges. We're making connections. And I will ask you, my call to action to you that are in this audience right now, to commit to the moment, to the movement. There's several ways you can do that. You can be an advertiser if you're a business out there. Put your company on our website. We're looking for some of the best companies to help us to promote this program that we're trying to do. You can do that with me at Kirkland at scfootballhof.org. You can also be a donor and grow with us in this historic movement that we have. You can reach us at South Carolina at football.org, or you can be a volunteer. You can also be a member. And we're also looking for volunteers, and you can do that to go into Mike Foster at SC Football, spelled out, HOF.org. So I'm asking you, all of you in here, to commit to the movement. Now I want you to visualize this with me. I want you to visualize a better student athlete, an athlete who's ready not only to go to high school, but go on to college and into the workforce. I want you to envision a better community, a cleaner community, a thriving community. I also want you to see South Carolina at the very best. Instead of us being at the top, at the bottom 10%, that we're now at the top 10% in 2030. That's what I want you to envision. I know that probably a lot of you thought I was going to talk a little bit more about my career, but I have a passion for our students in South Carolina. I am a student from South Carolina, born and bred in South Carolina. Spent my time in the PD, spent my time in the upstate at the best university, in my opinion, Clemson University. And I grew and I blossomed. And it's my duty and my passion to give that back. So that's one of the reasons why I came to talk to you today. And I'm really thankful that you took out your time and energy to listen to me talk about one of my passions, the South Carolina Football Hall of Fame, where we are educating, empowering, and encouraging student athletes. Thank you so much for giving me this time. I really, really do appreciate it. I hope that you take the time to join us and commit to this movement that we have. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Now that we got that out of the way, you can ask me any kind of questions you want to. You can ask me football questions, recruiting questions, anything you want to, something about my life, whatever you want to ask me. The floor is open for any kind of questions that you have. Anybody have a question? My son, my PR guy.
I could name a lot of teammates that you played with at Clemson.
Right.
And John Johnson.
Yes.
Dexter Davis.
Davis.
Ashley Shepard, Wayne Simmons, Chester McLaughlin.
Yes.
Who tried to kill Major Harris in that ball game.
Yes, he did. Yes.
Princeton Buckner.
We all tried to get him that day, though.
Clemson's recruiting is at all-time high, it seems, according to the people in the media.
Right.
Can you talk about what it was like to be recruited to Clemson?
You know, for me, I didn't get recruited very highly, and really the first team that sent me a letter was the University of South Carolina. Now, I can tell you the reason why I went to Clemson. And the reason why I went to Clemson is because the guy that recruited me, that sent me a letter the week after, he recruited me almost every week. Now, we were 2A at the time, but you know, Lamar is a 1A school. It's a small school. And so you can imagine not having internet, really barely having cable. So the reach, Clemson University from Lamar, South Carolina, that's a long way away. But Miles Aldridge, he recruited me so well, and we created a relationship. And he was really straight up with me. He was like, you know, we think you're a good athlete. We want to give you a scholarship. We want to give you an opportunity. Clemson was the first team to offer me a scholarship. And I really believe that the relationship, the genuine relationship that Miles Aldridge and myself had really helped me to make that decision. And then when I visited Clemson University, I was blown away. So I think that the same philosophy is true today with Dabo Swinney and his staff, that they really welcome the player in. It's a family atmosphere, a family kind of community, and they love on their players. What I really like that they're doing now is not only are the players being developed as football players, but you can see that the players are really developed as men. These guys are graduating, which is most important. They're going out in the world, and they're more prepared to face those challenges. And I really think that what they have there, I think any mother, father, or student would be attracted to it. I mean, they've really bought into making Clemson University the best university it can possibly be. And that's what I look at. You know, you're bringing in not only great athletes, but you're bringing in quality students who are really going out there and representing the university very well. So that's what I see at Clemson University. Any other questions? Don't be shy, please. Yes, sir.
Out of the teammates he named, or which is your favorite teammate?
Ooh, it's hard to say. Man, that's a hard question. You know, my roommate was Tony Kennedy. We ended up being best friends. Sylvester Mayer, who actually has a son on the team, he was one of my best friends there. But I'm gonna tell you, John Johnson was probably the funniest guy that you ever met in your life. So John Johnson, in that room alone with the outside linebackers that we had, and we were ranked the #1 linebackers my junior year, we also had a guy named Wayne Simmons, rest in peace Wayne Simmons. Me and Wayne would sit beside each other all the time and would just crack each other up. But also, you know, we played the same position. It was a competition between me and Wayne Simmons every year. And the competition and the talent was so good that Tommy West actually said, you know what, you guys all deserve to play. He said, I can't decide how to play you. So I'm gonna let you guys, I'm gonna trust you guys to play you. And as me and John were the starters, but we realized that Ashley and Wayne needed to play too. So we came to an agreement, and I thought this was so unselfish of all of us, that, hey, you know what? We'll play the first 2 series, you guys get the next 2 series, and we'll keep rotating. But if anybody's really hot, having a good game, we'll continue to let that guy play. But, you know, Chester McLaughlin was a great guy. Briston Buckner, we played together at Clemson, Pittsburgh, and then we also coached together with the Arizona Cardinals. So I had a lot of teammates that I really adored. Michael Dean Perry was probably my hero at the time. Michael Dean Perry was a tremendous player, tremendous person. So there's so many great teammates that I had that it's kind of hard to really kind of break it down to several guys. I hope I did a good job of doing that. But yeah, we had some fun at Clemson University. It was a great time. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm sure no one comes to mind, but in the NFL, Who would you say the toughest running back you faced was, or bring down? Who would be the toughest running back?
I think that's a very easy question, actually. Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders was the monster to every linebacker that ever played in the game. And when you watch his highlights, folks, I mean, he would make moves that are just like, I mean, is that scientifically possible? Can a human body actually do that? I've seen him fake guys out that they don't even know where he is. They're turned all around, and then that Sunday you have to go against Barry Sanders, and you like, hey, listen, we all need to help tackle this guy. He was an incredible athlete, incredible tough guy. And although he was, people thought he was small, he really wasn't small. He was short, but he wasn't. He was a rocked up man, and he can fake you out. He can run you over. He can break one for 80. He was just really scary. I mean, there was a lot of really good NFL running backs in my era, and the running game was emphasized back then. But Barry Sanders, I would say, was the top running back. Then you probably look at guys like Emmitt Smith, and I like Curtis Martin. Curtis Martin was a great guy. And then Marshall Faulk was in that category. It was a lot of great guys. I'm going to tell you a guy that I rejoiced, I almost shouted when he retired before I started, was Kevin Mack, Clemson's own Kevin Mack. He played with the Cleveland Browns, and you talk about a celebration. When he retired, we all celebrated. Thank you, God, that we don't have to go against Kevin Mack twice a year. So Kevin Mack, although I never played against him, was one of those guys that I really respected, and one of those guys that I was glad that he retired before I started playing more time with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Levon, I'm from Nanny, and
Okay.
that's your name, Levon.
Levon, that's right, that's right.
But that West Virginia game, that Gator Bowl, when y'all chased Major Harris all over the field, that is one of the greatest defensive performances I have ever seen.
Thank you.
For Clemson team, especially our linebackers.
Right.
It was just wonderful. And it was so funny because he was a Heisman candidate. I don't think he won it. I don't know, but y'all were chasing him down from behind. I mean,
Yeah.
you were quicker than he was.
You know what? That's ESPN's fault, because they pumped him up so much. And, you don't have the media coverage that you have now. And we really felt disrespected in a lot of ways. We knew we had a really good defense. When we played Florida State that year, Coach Bowden actually said, this is the fastest linebacker group I ever seen in my life. And it was funny because the guys that we brought in, John Johnson, Wayne Simmons, Ashley, myself, Ed McDaniels, Doug Brucer, we all came in undersized. But the key factor we were guys who played other sports. And we grew into our position. So going back to that Gator Bowl, we heard everything we could about Major Harris. Like, we're not going to be able to stop him. How you guys going to contain him? And I'm like, do they even watch Clemson football? I'm like, they couldn't have watched us play this year, because if you watched us play, you know what kind of dynamic defense. And the thing, too, we were all young, too. We're really basically sophomores and juniors at the time on that defense. So when we played them, and when I got that first sack on Major Harris, we were just like, oh, it's done. These guys can't block us. He can't outrun us. So I remember one time Wayne Simmons tracked him from behind. I remember one time I tracked him from behind. Chester got to him. And so basically, he never got hit that much. Matter of fact, I met Major Harris a few years later. I'm in the NFL. He's from Pittsburgh. And I remember him, we were talking. He's like, dude, I have never, and I mean ever, got beat down like I did. He said, I've never seen a defense so fast in my life. So I blame ESPN. I blame the Heisman committee for hyping him up as much as they did, and really actually motivating us to play a great game. So yeah, that was one of the best, I think, best performances that we put on that year. And like I said, it's so much fun when you have teammates like that. Everybody is good, everybody is competing, and you're really helping each other get better. And like I said before, we are such an unselfish team. And at one point in time, our first string, second string, and third string were all really good. Especially that 1990 season, we actually won we got the best defense in the country. We were number one. Our third string defense is actually pretty good. They probably could have beat a lot of teams. So we were at that kind of level there. Thank you for that question. I appreciate it.
One more
Yes,
thing too. How would you compare Travis Etienne to Barry Sanders?
He reminds me of Barry Sanders. At one time, when he first came in, I thought, man, this is a good Terry Allen, maybe a little better with breakaway speed. That's what I was thinking. And the more you watch him, you're like, man, this guy's a Barry Sanders. And I know people are, Barry Sanders is really put up in a high regard, but I think Travis is a Barry Sanders. And the reason why I say that is because he can not only break away speed on you. If anybody ever watched that Notre Dame game, I advise you to go back and watch that game when he breaks out and there's a safety still back there and he outruns the safety that's back there, which is like incredible. And also this past game, he breaks tackles too. So not only is he a speed guy and he can break away, but he can really break tackles. And anytime he gets on what we call the second level or the third level, he's tremendous. He gets past that second level, it's over. It really is. And he's an incredible weapon that I imagine if he was on any other team besides the team that Trevor Lawrence is on, he'll probably be the guy for the Heisman. He's really that good. And I think when he goes to the NFL, he's going to show everybody how good he is. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Question would be, I know Clemson is hoping for, another stellar season this year, but do you think this is the year that they do win a Heisman Trophy?
You know what? I really think that Trevor has to be, at this point in time in the season, the Heisman favorite. I don't think anybody is playing on his level at quarterback. He's playing, and I said this on my podcast, he's playing like he went to the NFL for 1 year, got all the experience in coaching, then forgot he had another year to go back at Clemson. So he went back to Clemson, and that's the way he's playing right now. Honestly, I think Clemson should have probably got a Heisman Trophy in Deshaun Watson. I think his sophomore year, the first time they went to the national championship, I totally thought he got robbed. Because what quarterback have you ever seen that goes undefeated, has a year that he has, and loses to a running back? That really never, ever really happens. And so sometimes I'm thinking like, well, did he not win it because he went to Clemson and we were just starting, our championship runs. We were good teams. We were just starting our championship run. He got robbed that year. And he might have could have won it the year after him, but the year after that. But I think they already had Lamar Jackson basically penciled in as the Heisman Trophy after he played us at Clemson. And we still won that game. But I think that year, Lamar Jackson to the media they already said he's the Heisman Trophy winner. And I thought Deshaun should at least have at least one. I think Trevor, if he keeps going the way he's going, that he will win the Heisman. And I think the second guy would be, I think the guy that may be in second place this year may be Travis. Yeah, so I think this is the year that Clemson gets that Heisman Trophy.
Who's the best quarterback you played against in the NFL?
Whew. Now that's a good question too. That is a good question. Now, this is kind of a funny story, but Joe Montana was my favorite. And Joe Montana wanted to play for the Steelers after he got on free agency, but he went to Kansas City. And we were winning the game the whole time. And Joe is really, he's a little older, but I remember that last drive they had, and he drove the ball all the way down the field, got a touchdown. We went to overtime. And you could just see the coolness just coming off his uniform. He was so poised. I mean, it was like he was drinking a cocktail, you know, sipping a cocktail. Okay, you're not open. Okay, here you go. I mean, he just drove the ball. I mean, he just had his little drink there. You know that cool guy that's smoking a cigarette. Having this drink, okay, here we go. Touchdown. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life. But, in fairness, I played against guys like Danny Marino, Troy Aikman, Brett Favre, Steve Young. So there was a lot of quality quarterbacks, but my favorite guy was Joe Montana. And Joe Montana I don't think he was the most talented guy physically, but as far as the intangibles, I thought he had it all. And if you want somebody with a ball in their hands and you got about a minute to go and you absolutely positively needed a touchdown, I really think that Joe Montana was the guy. So Joe Montana to me. There may be an argument, but Joe Montana, in my opinion. Yes, sir.
I remember when you sacked Troy Aikman in the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I can't imagine a play being any bigger, considering the game. But do you have a play or a game from your NFL career that stands out more than others?
Yes, I did. and that really stood out. I tell people if Emmitt Smith he kind of clipped me at the last minute, and I kind of jumped over him a little bit to get that sack. But one of my favorite plays, is, and I'm gonna try to give you a picture of this game, is Dan Marino. And I talked to Dan Marino years after this, and he actually remembers this, so I'm like, wow, I can't believe it. But Dan Marino was a huge star at the time. And this is maybe my second year starting, so my third year in the NFL. And they come out the huddle, break. He comes to the line of scrimmage. They do their little verbiage or whatever. And he looks at me. And he looks at Keith Jackson. And they kind of like, yeah, let's take him. And for some reason, I caught that conversation as they were talking. I'm like, they're trying to throw on me. They're trying to go deep. They're trying to throw on me. So what I did was I backed up a little bit. And so as I'm backing up, he's going blue 15, set, hut. It's a play action pass, but I don't fall for the play action. I see Keith Jackson running off my peripheral. I swing around with him, and we're running stride to stride. He turns back to look for the ball. I turn back, and Dan Marino throws me the prettiest pass I've ever seen in my life. I caught it. I went down, and I'm thinking to myself, I just intercepted Dan Marino. I'm keeping this ball. So to me, that was one of my favorite plays. And so it's amazing how, as NFL players, we may not remember our keys, but we remember the plays that we played in some of the games. So I thought that Dan Marino for me was just perfect. And I mean, it was at home too, so we had our black jerseys on. And later on, when I was coaching with the Cardinals and we played Miami, and I say, Dan, we knew each other and we were friendly to each other. I was like, hey, Dan. He's like, hey, Levon, how you doing? I say, Dan, I was just telling somebody about that interception. He said, I remember it. I said, he's like, man, that's a great play. He said, you knew it was coming, right? I said, man, honestly, I saw you look at Keith Jackson, and y'all kind of like, yeah, let's take this big guy here, and that's my most beautiful play. Anybody else have any questions? If not, thank you again so much for having me here. Again, I want to make sure that you guys think about committing to the movement. You can be an advertiser, you can be a donor, you can be a member, or you can be a volunteer. And you can reach us at you can reach us at SC@football HOF. You can reach me. I think I might have did that wrong. Let me go back again. If you want to reach us, go to Kirkland at scfootballspelledout.org. If you want to reach Mike Foster, and Mike Foster kind of handles a lot of our business operations, go to Foster at scfootballspelledout.org. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate the conversation. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vaughn. That was great. Appreciate you being with us.
Thank you.
Want to thank all our good sponsors, Granger and Nissan, for the meals, for the athletes and coaches, and Damon was here a few minutes ago. I don't think he's here right now. Dillard's Sports for the T-shirts for the weekly winners. Dillard's Trophy for the weekly winners' plaques. Ryobi for the coaches' gifts. Harris Flooring for the video streaming. Ralph Hayes Toyota and Palmetto Insurance also for video streaming. Blake and Brody Boutique, and the printer. Appreciate all those sponsors. We couldn't have this great club without those sponsors. All right, next week we've got Furman coach Clay Hendricks coming, so look forward to seeing everybody back next week.